Hey guys, how you doing today? Real beautiful, kind of fickle day. Can't decide whether or not it's going to rain on us, whether it's going to, the sun is going to open up. Can't decide if the wind wants to blow, wants to not blow. So sorry if it gets a little bit windy. I'm still working on a solution for that. I'm literally to the point where I'm like, can I just get a clip with a little bit of cotton and just like, would that work? I don't know. Anyway, I think I found a good wind shelter here, so hopefully that makes everything work out. Okay, so the Atlanta city shooting, right? A Caucasian fellow walks into a massage parlor, shoots up the place, kills 8 Asian women. This is a tragedy on a massive scale. This is something that should never happen to anyone or by anyone for any reason. And this story, in my view, is not an isolated incident. It's not disconnected. It's not just individuals doing individual things and, oh, what can you do, right? This story is connected to the wider narrative of the world in a way that I think we have to investigate and explore, right? That we have a rising fascist and white supremacist or openly white supremacist movements throughout the United States and Canada, right? We have a rising sentiment against Asian Canadians and Asian Americans, which we know is true. The Prime Minister of Canada, in the wake of these shootings, has stood up and addressed this issue directly. It is no longer the case that we can pretend as though these sorts of events are, just happening, right? People do all kinds of things, And it really illustrates to us clearly and beyond the shadow of a doubt that when high-level officials and people in positions of power stir discontent against other foreign powers and other nations, there are internal consequences. There are internal consequences that we have to address, and we have to start treating these people who are stirring this discontent as dangerous. So who am I talking about? Who's stirring the discontent? Well, you've got Donald Trump walking around calling the coronavirus the Kung flu, right? This kind of racist statement that obviously points the finger at a specific type of person for the negative experience that we're all having currently, right? When no individual nation or individual group can possibly be responsible for a disease outbreak, right? And then even worse than this, as the Americans begin to fear a rising Chinese star in the world, they're telling all kinds of lies and all kinds of stories about what's going on in China and what China's experience is in the world. Specifically, and if you're a fan of this channel, you know what's coming, the lie about the Uyghur genocide. Please don't shut down the video. Don't leave, don't unsubscribe. In fact, if you're one of those people who leaves around this time, please subscribe. Do the opposite. Like the video, send it around. And I'm not talking out of my ass when I'm saying that our government, the Canadian government and the American government, like the weapons of mass destruction lie on the lead up to Iraq, are lying about the Uyghur genocide. Recently, the Australian government has come out and said that there is no Uyghur genocide going on. This is a crippling blow to this narrative, this lie that's being perpetrated by the CIA and the State Department, right? You can't stand up and say a lie like this if your allies are not going to support you. And Australia, historically, has been an ally to America on these sorts of issues. And it's standing up and it is saying, no, this is too much. There is no Uyghur genocide. Turkey has recently stood up and said, there is no Uyghur genocide. Another crippling blow to this narrative. And and the reason why is because Uyghurs are ethnically Turkish, right? So here you have the nation that these people historically come from standing up and saying, no, these guys are not experiencing a genocide. And in fact, Turkey verifies what we've all been saying all along about this, which is that there are Uyghur separatists and Uyghur terrorists who have come into Syria, who trained with groups like ISIS, like the Taliban, and have returned to China with the explicit stated agenda of taking the region of Xinjiang, where the Belt and Road Initiative originates and comes from, and breaking it off and creating a new separate East Turkestan country, right? The idea that the United States is not going to use these people for their own ends, I think is just a little bit childish, right? You have to kind of live in a little bubble and pretend like the CIA is your friend in order to maintain this kind of idea. It can't be done. And spreading these kinds of lies into the public, right? Talking this way and saying these things into the public have massive consequences, right? You can't just say to a people, oh wow, that country is committing a genocide. Oh, they purposefully created a virus in order to cause everybody all kinds of problems, right? You can't do those sorts of things and then not expect isolated people with strange worldviews to pick up the mantle and then go and do something about it in a culture that worships vigilante justice, right? Like, for goodness sakes, our top grossing films of the last 10 years are all about how we should let vigilantes control the justice system and act according to what's going on in their hearts. And if you're a white supremacist who believes that Asians are inferior or scary or need to be controlled or dominated, or you're some kind of incel and you can't get anything done and you're not going anywhere, well then what your heart is telling you to do is pick up a gun and kill 8 women for no reason, right? We have to do better than this. Like we do. We have to do better than this. And we have to demand that when people stand up and start spreading lies about specific ethnic groups into your culture, we can't just silently ignore them. We can't just pretend like it's not happening. We can't just cancel them, right? We can't attempt to attack and silence them from that perspective. We need to loudly, as I am currently doing, we need to loudly call them out and say that what they're doing is not only inappropriate, is not only dangerous, but is actually evil, right? Is actually evil. That the Americans currently are operating on the world stage as the Nazis, right? That's something that I want to hear said all the time, constantly, forever, and eternally. The Americans are operating on the world stage as the Nazis. I mean, for goodness sakes, they've surrounded China with military bases. They're going to be in Afghanistan forever because the Afghanistan border meets with the Chinese border, right? They are obviously stirring up a continuation of this never-ending war. They're obviously stirring up discontent. They're obviously doing these things. I mean, you've even got like retired army colonels coming out and saying that, yeah, this is obviously why America is going to stay in Afghanistan. This is obviously what they're doing. They're obviously completely disinterested in spreading peace and democracy and any of that kind of nonsense. They're there for the oil. Like, they're there to steal the resources. And what America, and what is so dangerous about this? Internally, it's dangerous because it's causing all kinds of problems. People murdering one another for no reason whatsoever. But it has a larger meta concern, which is that as America and as Canada continues to spread lies and continues to tell everybody that, oh, China is so evil, let's be racist and xenophobic and spread a whole bunch of lies about China, the rest of the world is going to cotton on to this, as it's already starting to do. And they're going to start to isolate us, right? They're going to start to look at America and say, do we really want to tie our wagon to this star? Do we really want to look at a nation? Do we really want our primary ally to be a nation that's constantly threatening our destruction, that's constantly threatening to attack us, to invade us, to steal our resources, to pout and to whinge and to whine while saying America first, right? Not the world together, not let's come together, not let's create win-win scenarios, not any of that, but America first. We're gonna win. Go fuck yourselves, right? Like, this is your primary ally. This is the person who you're gonna, who is actively creating a genocide in Yemen, right? Who is actively invading 8 different countries, who is actively dismantling and destroying successful projects, who is actually saying socialism doesn't work while bombing socialist countries that are currently working, right? This is the person who you want to be allied with. This is the person. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to look out onto the world stage and you're going to say, well, is there any other power out there that is not currently invading and bombing everybody, that is actually treating everybody with respect and dignity, that is actually building up countries, spending money on infrastructure, actually building, doing stuff, creating more, that is reliable and that we trust is not going to just invade a group of people and create a real genocide? Well, guess who they're talking about? They're talking about China. And if America continues to act the way that it's acting, the entire world is going to turn to China and is going to say, you know what? We don't need these Americans anymore, right? China has us on population. They've got a larger market than we do, right? They've got us on coordination and organization, right? They're growing faster than we are by leaps and bounds. And it's because they have modeled themselves as a country who actually gives a crap about its citizens, right? It's walked into regions that are poor historically, that are suffering, that have been left behind, and it's saying, oh yeah, we can do something about this, right? As opposed to what the Americans do, which is that they ignore that for as long as humanly possible. And then when it becomes so obvious that these people are suffering and they actually need help, they say, well, go get a better job then. Learn to code, right? And this kind of nonsense. Is it any wonder that a country that has abandoned its own citizens so effectively and efficiently is also suffering from a rise of xenophobia and a rise of racism as it spews propaganda into its own base? No, it shouldn't shock us at all, right? It shouldn't shock us at all. And what we are experiencing is extremely dangerous, extreme propaganda that is going to fail. It's going to fail us. We are going to be isolated and alone, and that's no good for us. Okay, this is the end of this video, guys. If you've made it to this point, you have to subscribe. Those are the rules. Please like the video. It's free to do. Please share it with your conservative friends. Please share it with the people who are saying Kung Flu unironically, right? Or even ironically. Screw that. Don't say Kung Flu. That's brutal. That's brutal. Oh, what else am I going to say here? Oh yeah, you know what? You guys are doing great out there, okay? We are experiencing mass gaslighting and mass propaganda on a scale that is unheard of on the world stage. Everything you're hearing through the media apparatus is specifically designed to gaslight you. Do not let them do it. You're wonderful, you're beautiful, everything you're doing is great. Good luck. We're gonna need it.